Hello there, YouTubers. This is Gus Estacio from Healing X Outreach. You can listen to us at 1 o'clock every Saturday, um, whether it's live or retelecast. We will be on at 1 o'clock every Saturday. And I think we just did, yesterday, we did a live debate on is Jesus a myth or is he historical? Did he ever really exist? And that was with Ken Humphreys, who's a Jesus mythicist. I think he's from JesusNeverExisted.com. And William Aldrich. And I think that William did an amazing job on defending the historicity of Jesus Christ and exposing a few flaws in Mr. Humphreys' book. But I think this Saturday coming, we're going to have a retelecast, and it'll probably be, I think it's going to be Women of the Watchtower. And it's one of our earliest broadcasts, and we had Emily Hood, and I think my wife, and I think one other person. I forgot who they. I forgot who they were, but we had three women on there, and it's only an hour long, so it's not going to take much of your time. Back then, we only did 60-minute broadcasts, and so that's what we'll be looking forward to this Thanksgiving Saturday. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I want to talk a little bit about last night, and I was listening towards tail end of Six Screens, and Rick came on, and Rick was really blasting um, his video suite listeners who don't really make a lot of comments, and I used to use the video suite myself, and yeah, a lot of people just really, you have a couple regulars, and I don't think it gets a lot of feedback there, and sometimes there'll be conversation amongst themselves. And I just want to remind everyone why we do what we do, including Rick. Rick is a guy. When I first started, I was really, I'm still really a conservative Christian, and I was making judgments about Rick and how he did his podcast, and why isn't he running it like a ministry? It should be geared towards Jesus, and he wanted it to be a free stable on Saturdays, particularly where people can have different kind of ideologies and beliefs, and let them decide for their own. And now hindsight 2020, I can see the sense of that. I mean, it's not for me, but I think that that's also kind of how BRCI used to go. For those of you who don't know what BRCI is Biblical Research Commentary International. It was kind of a small organization. Uh, Ray Franz was involved in it. Marilyn's wife, who passed away, and Ray, and Cynthia Franz passed away, but she was never really involved in it. You had a couple of other ex-Bethelites. Tom Cabine was involved in it. There's a couple of articles. Um, and mostly, I think a lot of free Bible students or people who still held to kind of Unitarian ideas was still involved in it, but it was considered a lighthouse. It was that you could be Unitarian, you could be Trinitarian, you could be whatever you believed in, and no one was going to fault you for your own beliefs. And I was a little bit judgmental of Rick, and I've come full term, and what I mean by that is I don't really cast any judgments on people on what they believe. Yes, I am a Christian, and I will always herald Christianity on my particular podcast. But even there now, I've invited atheists to come and share their stories, and we'll just keep away from the whole belief thing, and we just talk about what caused them to exit a cult. And I think that the Vast Apostate Hour has done an admirable job of unifying both theists and atheists together in one great cause. And we have people like that also on the atheist side. Some atheists, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, believe that all faith belief systems are just detrimental to the world, and that they consider all, particularly, especially Christianity in general, cultic. Um, and the way I was on the Christian side, you have atheists that are that. They're militant on the atheist side, and we will encounter that. And and that's more of what John Cedars probably attracts in JW Survey is he attracts militant atheists, and he's become somewhat of a militant atheist, except it's kind of confusing because he defends Jehovah's Witnesses so much on their freedom to believe, but he's judgmental about Christian ex-JWs who, of course, exhibit their freedom to believe. Um, so I just wanted to mention that, Rick had a tirade. And I know one of the goals about ex-Jehovah's Witnesses who do, let's say, YouTubes or podcasts or the things that Rick does or the things that I do is we try to do what we do because we love what we do. We desire to share information to expose the cults, and we have to do it at the least possible cost to ourselves because we have families and we have bills and we have a life that we have to live outside of the outreach or the activism or the ministry that we do. And I hope that my brother Rick will remember that. And I think he has invested way too much money in something that he probably thought might have gone to some other different venues. But I think he did a great job last night in saying that maybe the video suite is done and to go Facebook Live. And one great thing about Facebook Live is it's free. It's free. You can record. You can have videos there that will be in your Facebook archives or where your photos are, and it's free. So I think that's a good decision, a wise decision. But I think that Rick really needs to really think about the freedom that he calls himself the Freedom Network. I think that's what he called himself. Is that people have the freedom to speak out, and some people just won't. And it has nothing to do with the fact that not everyone is obligated to speak out. Some people are not, no one is obligated to even join in activism, and they're not obligated to do that. Some people just want to live their lives, and then they come in and they listen and they are learning, and they hold it close to their heart, and they take that and it's information, and they keep it here, and they keep it here, and that's what we do. We are uh, we are gifted guides, and we can't fault anyone for not speaking out. And I think that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. The other thing I want to talk about is about the Warwick protests, and particularly the hall crashing, and some people have said that that's a little aggressive, or they call it aggressive activism. And I'm gonna tell you what's the difference between what hall crashing is doing and what we do on social media and the internet. I think that what we do on social media and the internet is really just a lighthouse to ex Jehovah's Witnesses or to Jehovah's Witnesses in both categories that are looking for some familiarity or looking for some information to confirm their bias, because we all have biases, confirm their inklings that there's something wrong here, something wrong with the organization. So, in general, what JW Survey and John Cedars does, and he thinks that's real activism. It's not really activism what we do on social media. I mean, we are a guide, as I said, and most of the people that we attract, whether it's my podcast radio program or Rick's Six Screens of the Watchtower or JW Survey or Vast Apostate Hour, is people that are already on the way out. Kingdom Hall crashing, though, that is real activism. I mean, protests, that is real activism. And what I mean by that, it's real activism, is that it's not just engaging people that may be on the way out, because some of them in the Kingdom Halls, they might see us pop up and share a story, and they'd be like, yeah, that's what I've been waiting for. That might be the case. But I'll tell you what it's doing. It is really grassroots protesting. When you're out with a sign and the Jehovah's Witnesses, now cannot help but read what you have on. Their curiosity gets the better of them, and they might go ahead and look up jwfacts.com. And the only reason that they know about jwfacts.com is because you put it on a sign. The only reason why they know about the Australian Royal Commission is because you put it on a sign, or because you were the one who went into a Kingdom Hall, into their world, their communal bubble, and you crashed their bubble, and now they heard for the first time or seen for the first time something they've never seen nor ever would have if you didn't go into that bubble. And we're seeing the results of that. And we're going to see the results of it throughout the year 2018. What happened in November 4th and 5th is going to reverberate throughout the rest of the year until we do it again. And I'm on board with doing this regularly. I'm on board with protesting because it's making a difference already. And I just posted her story on my wall in Facebook. Someone has said, what woke me up was what happened at Warwick and the information about the Australian Royal Commission, and I finally looked it up. People are seeing this. This is grassroots. People are getting woke that otherwise would not have woke. This person was in the organization for 33 years. Just think about that. 33 years. Probably would have been 34, 35, and beyond if somebody did not invade her realm. And so there is a value. There's a risk, but there's a value to some of the stuff that we're doing. But it's grassroots, and it's engaging people on their level, in their house. It is an invasion. And I'll say this about those who think this is aggressive activism. Some people mischaracterize it as really violent, and it's not really. It's in the spirit in which you do what you do. And I think that for the most part, most of the people who have done this have done it with a spirit of humility, with a spirit of giving a public service announcement. And I want to say this about protesting and aggressive activism. Protest by nature should invade people's comfortable, the people where they're comfortable at. It should make them uncomfortable. It's by nature violent. And what I mean violent not in physicality, but violent by invasive. And so what's going on is we are intruding into what normally would be a really safe house, a sanctuary city, so to speak. Or it's an intervention. And drug addicts sometimes need an intervention. They need someone to invade their world, to tell them the things that they don't want to hear, and to say, I'm not going to put up with it anymore, before they finally say, that's all I've been waiting to hear. I know I can't get away with this anymore. I have to listen to you. I have to act on what I'm hearing. We are our protests, the hall, or holding up signs at the headquarters, exposing the watchtower, forcing the governing body to address our issues. That has never happened. It would have never happened if we were locked up in our box, not being invasive, not forcing their hand to address it. So I really think that this is really productive. I really do. And I'm not saying it's for everybody. I mean, I haven't crashed the hall. This is my first protest I was part of. But I can see the results. And we know that if something is failing, then we need to move on and do something else. I.e., Rick, Video Suite, switching to Facebook Live. You've already seen how Facebook Live can be very effective, how many people respond, and how many people are listening and watching at the same time. So, it's about really testing out and exploring our options and seeing what's the most effective thing for Rick, and also for those naysayers and skeptics who think that this is not productive. It's overwhelmingly productive, and we've already seen that. So, God bless everyone. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Let us lead productive lives in our activism, whatever it is. Whether it's YouTube, podcasting, having a teleconference network. Doing nothing accomplishes nothing. Doing something accomplishes something grand sometimes. So you all have a great day. It's Sunday. I'm going to church. God bless.